Hello friends, today we are going to learn about threads in Java, the nature of the thread in Java, how they are used and overall the thread cycle. So let's begin with a thread. What is thread? The thread is a smallest, like is a program that executes some task. Okay. And when we talk about multi-threading means when multiple threads execute concurrently. That means when threads are executing parallelly to perform some task, it is called as multi-threading. What is the need of multi-threading in Java? What is the benefit of using multi-threading? If you think about it logically, like if a program we divide a large program into the smallest logical unit and execute those logical units parallelly, then it will be executed. It will take less time to execute, and therefore multi-threading is used to make your application run faster by doing multiple things at the same time. In Java, actually, there are types of thread. One is the non-daemon thread, and second is the daemon thread. Non-daemon thread is a thread that execute the main logic of a program. For example, a main method. Main method is a default thread that start by the JVM, and it execute a main thread is basically responsible for executing the main thread. Okay, we will see how we can implement it in an IDE using an IDE like IntelliJ or Eclipse. I have already installed IntelliJ in my machine. I have Java 1.16 version JDK in my machine also. I would recommend my viewers to install a IDE. Anything IDE would be okay to understand threading, and I would prefer you to install the latest version of Java so that in our journey we can explore the new features as well together. Okay, and let's okay. So where we are? So we understand what is a non-daemon thread, and the second is the daemon thread. Daemon thread is nothing. It is only to support and provide service to the non-daemon thread. For example, the garbage collection. Do you think what is the need of the garbage collection? It execute any logic? No, it doesn't execute any logic. Of like if like it is used to destroy useless object so that the number of bytes of free memory will be improved or increase the memory, and that memory is used by the main method to execute to continue its execution. So daemon threads is basically support the non-daemon thread. Okay, and the daemon thread you can consider, for example, um, if if I am playing a role of an actor and I am doing it, I'm working in a movie. Okay, but when film launch, so everyone knows about me, who is playing the main lead role, and everyone seen on the screen. But when my job is done, the all the workers who is working background, for example, the makeup artist, the producer, and the director, their job automatically is completed once I am like the movie is completed. Okay, so now my main point here to understand you guys that when a non-daemon terminates, the daemon threads automatically terminated. Okay, and also I also want to let you know one more thing about like how we can create a non-daemon threads. We will learn about it in our journey, how we can create a non-daemon thread. Okay, and But before that, I just want to let you know here, like main method is a main thread. So it is not started by us. We don't start the main method. The GVM starts. So 1 second, we can do a quick things. We can start on intelligent and we'll here learn it together. 1 second. My laptop is about to die. Give me a second. I'm charging it. Okay, now I'm sharing intelligent. Okay, give me a second. So, okay, so I already done the program. I'm removing it. Okay, so just open your IntelliJ or maybe any ID, create a Java project, and I created a class called learning threads. Okay. Okay. And okay, 1 second. Yeah, learning thread. I have extended it from the class and this class, but now I removed it. So this is what a simple print program in Java. Okay, so we know this is a default method that execute this thing to execute any logic. Okay, this is a default method, but this method is is execute by main thread. Okay, so this is a main thread, and we can also check whether this thread is the nature of this thread. How can we check? Nature. Okay, how can we check? We can check at this, like what this is a current thread, that is a main thread. If you want to see the name of the thread, you can also see the priority. You can also check the, okay, and but here my main thing is to let you know like whether this thread is a daemon or a non-daemon thread. Okay, I'm executing this program. So you can see the name of the thread is a main thread. This is a main thread. Okay, and the nature of the thread is the nature of main thread is a non-daemon. It is a non-daemon thread. So if any thread, if any class that extend from a thread class or maybe, okay, so it would be a, like any class that inherit from like like it is like you can like think about parent-child relationship. Okay, if a parent is a non-daemon, then the child would be non-daemon. If a parent is a daemon thread, the child would be the daemon thread. So it the child thread inherit the nature of the parent thread. Okay, so for example, let's extend from a thread class. Okay, and now I am creating an instance of this thread. Okay, now I want to check the nature of this thread. Nature of child thread. L dot is Deamon. Let execute. So you can see the parent is a non-daemon, so it's a non-daemon thread. Okay, but you can also set it to a daemon thread. There is also one way you can like change the nature of the thread. Like basically you can only change a non-daemon to daemon, and daemon thread cannot be changed to a non-daemon. Okay, so you can set this. Now what we are doing, we are Let's do one thing. Change this name as learning thread. L doesn't make any sense actually. Obviously, learning thread is also not making any sense, but we just give a prop like name of an instance. Okay. Now it asking for a boolean. Do you want to set it as a daemon or non-daemon? So I put it as a daemon. Earlier it was non-daemon thread. Now, if we see, let's print it out again. New nature of a thread. Okay, let's print it out. Now you can see the thread nature is now it become a daemon thread. So by this way, you can change the nature of the thread. You can see the thread name. You can set it. There are different methods that exist. Okay, by default, you can see, you can change the state of a thread. I will talk about the states of a thread. You can also create, like, divide this thread and put a similar kind of thread into a group, and you can get the thread group name, the priority you can set. So there are different methods you can check it. Alive and all alive is interrupted. We'll talk about this later. So as a, like, till now we understand daemon thread, non-daemon thread, how we can check the nature of a thread, how we can convert it into a thread, and also one more thing. One more thing to understand, like, we cannot change the nature of a thread after start. For example, we set the thread. Before doing the setting, I am I'm starting the thread. Okay. If you see the thread we start, it's now in a runnable state. So when the thread is started, you cannot change the nature. If you do so, you will get the illegal thread exception. Okay. So, okay. Now let's talk about the life cycle of a thread. Okay. So, okay, we cover all these things, the daemon method. We cannot change. We can also change the thread tick for the start. We cannot change the nature of a thread after starting. Yeah, it makes sense actually. Okay. Thread cycle. So a thread, when we thread all this new, runnable, running, waiting, blocked, and dead are the state of a thread. A thread goes into this state depending upon like what actually, like, the thread is executing what part of things. Okay, so when we are creating a thread, it is in a new state. Here if you see, we created a thread, we created an instance of a thread. We have this, now it is in a new state. When we invoke the instance, it is in a runnable state. Now it is in a runnable state. If the thread start executing the logic, so whenever we like when we each thread has a run method. Okay, we have, when we create it, we override those methods. So when that thread start executing that execution of the run method, it change into the running state, it change its state. Now from the running state, a thread can be in a waiting state, in a block state, or in a dead state. So when that execution done completely, that thread goes from running to the dead state. But if while the thread is running, we pause a thread for 10 milliseconds or 20 milliseconds, it is it goes from running to the waiting state, and when after the time's up, it again back to the running state. Okay, But sometimes in during multi-threading, if we are executing one thread for thread one, and there are two threads, thread two. So thread one is waiting for thread two, and thread two is waiting for thread one. In that case, both threads are waiting for each other. So the thread, it's in a blocked state. Both threads are waiting for each other. So at that time, the thread changes state from running to the blocked state. Okay. If you see the thread method has a, you see run method. Yeah, run method. Each method has, okay. So maybe in the next session we will talk about how all the threads methods, how we can create multi-threads, how we can create multiple threads, how we can execute multi-threads using new features like lambda and all. So that's all for today's session. Thank you. Hope you enjoy this session and learn about threads. We'll meet later. Bye. And if you like my video, just like it and subscribe it. Thank you.